Life is full of choices, and sometimes the consequences of those choices can last for generations. Welcome to day 88 of our journey through the Bible. Today we step into 2 Samuel chapters 13 through 16, where David's household is shaken by betrayal, pain, and rebellion. These chapters reveal the tragic fallout of past sins and the deep wounds that come when trust is broken. Your commitment to walking through Scripture each day is truly inspiring. Whether you've been with us from the start or just joined, we're grateful to have you here. If you haven't already, take a moment to subscribe and share this series with someone who would benefit from it. Tomorrow, in day 89, we'll continue with 2 Samuel chapters 17 through 20, where we'll witness the unfolding drama of Absalom's rebellion and David's struggle to reclaim his throne. It's a powerful reminder that leadership, forgiveness, and faith are tested in life's most difficult moments. As we begin today's reading, ask yourself, how do I respond when faced with the consequences of my past choices? Let's jump in and seek God's wisdom together. 2 Samuel chapter 13. Now after this, Absalom the son of David had a beautiful sister whose name was Tamar, and Amnon the son of David loved her. Amnon was so distressed over his sister Tamar that he became sick, for she was a virgin and it seemed impossible for him to do anything to her. But Amnon had a friend whose name was Jonadab, the son of Shimea, David's brother. And Jonadab was a very crafty man. He said to him, "Why are you growing thinner day by day, O son of the king? You should not look so sad." Then Amnon said to him, "I love Tamar, the sister of my brother Absalom." And Jonadab said to him, "Lie down on your bed and pretend to be ill. When your father comes to see you, say to him, 'Please let my sister Tamar come and give me food, and prepare the food in my sight, that I may see it and eat it from her hand.'" So Amnon lay down and pretended to be ill. Then the king came to see him. And Amnon said to the king, "Please let Tamar, my sister, come and make a couple of cakes for me in my sight, that I may eat from her hand." Then David sent home to Tamar, saying, "Go now to your brother Amnon's house and prepare food for him." So Tamar went to her brother Amnon's house, where he was lying down. And she took flour, kneaded it, made cakes in his sight, and baked the cakes. She took the pan and placed them out before him, but he refused to eat. And Amnon said, "Have everyone go out from me." So everyone went out from him. Then Amnon said to Tamar, "Bring the food into the bedroom, that I may eat from your hand." And Tamar took the cakes which she had made and brought them to Amnon, her brother, in the bedroom. Now when she had brought them to him to eat, he took hold of her and said to her, "Come lie with me, my sister." And she answered him, "No, my brother, do not force me, for no such thing should be done in Israel. Do not do this disgraceful thing. For I say to you, where could you bring an end to such disgrace? In Israel you would be called an unclean person. But speak to the king, for he will not withhold me from you." However, he would not heed her voice, but being stronger than she, forced her and lay with her. Then Amnon hated her with a very great hatred, for the hatred with which he hated her was greater than the love with which he had loved her. And Amnon said to her, "Arise, get out." And she said to him, "No, because this evil of sending me away is worse than the other that you did to me." But he would not listen to her. Then he called his servant who attended him and said, "Put this woman out and bolt the door behind her." Now she had on a robe of many colors, for with such robes the king's virgin daughters were clothed. And his servant put her out and bolted the door behind her. Tamar put ashes on her head, tore her robe of many colors that was on her, laid her hand on her head, and went away crying bitterly. And Absalom her brother said to her, "Has Amnon your brother been with you? But now hold your peace, my sister. He is your brother. Do not take this thing to heart." So Tamar remained desolate in her brother Absalom's house. When King David heard of all these things, he was very angry. But Absalom spoke to Amnon, neither good nor bad, for Absalom hated Amnon because he had forced his sister Tamar. And it came to pass after 2 full years that Absalom had sheep shearers in Baal-Hazor, which is near Ephraim. And Absalom invited all the king's sons. Then Absalom came to the king and said, "Behold, now your servant has sheep shearers. Let the king and his servants please go with your servant." But the king said to Absalom, "No, my son, let us not all go, lest we be a burden to you." And he urged him, but he would not go, but he blessed him. Then Absalom said, If not, please let my brother Amnon go with us. And the king said to him, Why should he go with you? But Absalom urged him, and he let Amnon and all the king's sons go with him. Now Absalom commanded his servants, saying, Watch now when Amnon's heart is merry with wine. And when I say to you, Strike Amnon, then kill him. Do not fear, it is I who have commanded you. Be courageous and be valiant. And the servants of Absalom did to Amnon as Absalom had commanded. Then all the king's sons arose, and each one got on his mule and fled. Now it came to pass, while they were on the way, that news came to David, saying, Absalom has killed all the king's sons, and not one of them is left. So the king arose and tore his garments and lay on the ground, and all his servants stood by with their clothes torn. And Jonadab the son of Shimeah, David's brother, answered and said, Let not my lord suppose they have killed all the young men, the king's sons, for only Amnon is dead. For by the command of Absalom this has been determined since the day that he forced his sister Tamar. Therefore, let not my lord the king take the thing to heart to think that all the king's sons are dead, for only Amnon is dead. Then Absalom fled. And the young man who was keeping watch lifted his eyes and looked, and there was a great tumult, and the people were coming from the road by the side of the mountain. And Jonadab said to the king, Look, the king's sons are coming, as your servant said. So it was as soon as he had finished speaking that the king's sons indeed came and lifted up their voices and wept. And also the king and all his servants wept very bitterly. But Absalom fled and went to Talmai, the son of Ammihud, king of Geshur. And David mourned for his son every day. So Absalom fled and went to Geshur and was there 3 years. And King David longed to go to Absalom, for he was comforted concerning Amnon because he was dead. This concludes 2 Samuel chapter 13. 2 Samuel chapter 14. Now, Joab the son of Zeruiah perceived that the king's heart was concerned about Absalom. And Joab sent to Tekoa and brought from there a wise woman and said to her, Please pretend to be a mourner and put on mourning apparel. Do not anoint yourself with oil, but act like a woman who has been mourning many days for the dead. Then come to the king and speak to him in this manner. So she came to the king and fell on her face to the ground and prostrated herself. And she said, Help me, O king. The king said to her, What troubles you? And she answered, I am indeed a widow woman, and my husband is dead. I had 2 sons, and they fought with each other in the field, and there was no one to part them. But one struck the other and killed him. And now the whole family has risen up against your maidservant, and they said, Deliver him who struck his brother, that we may execute him for the life of his brother whom he killed. And we will destroy the heir also. Thus they would extinguish my ember that is left and leave to my husband neither name nor remnant on the earth. Then the king said to the woman, Go to your house, and I will give orders concerning you. And the woman of Tekoa said to the king, My lord, O king, let the iniquity be on me, and on my father's house, and let the king and his throne be guiltless. So the king said, Whoever says anything to you, bring him to me, and he shall not touch you any more. Then she said, Please let the king remember the Lord your God, and do not permit the avenger of blood to destroy any more, lest they destroy my son. And he said, As the Lord lives, not one hair of your son shall fall to the ground. Then the woman said, Please let your maidservant speak another word to my lord the king. And he said, Say on. So the woman said, Why then have you schemed such a thing against the people of God? For the king does speak this thing as one who is guilty, in that the king does not bring back his banished one. For we will surely die and become like water spilled on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. Yet God does not take away a life. He devises means so that his banished ones are not expelled from him. Now therefore, when I have come to speak this word to my lord the king, it was because the people have made me afraid. And your maidservant said, Let me now speak to the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of his maidservant. For the king will hear and deliver his maidservant from the hand of the man who would destroy both me and my son from the inheritance of God. Your maidservant said, Let the word of my lord the king now be comforting. For as the angel of God, so is my lord the king in discerning good and evil. Let the Lord your God be with you. Then the king said to the woman, Is the hand of Joab with you in all this? And the woman answered and said, As you live, my lord the king, though right is on your side, yet your maidservant knows that my lord the king is like the angel of God to discern good and evil. For the Lord your God is with you. Therefore let not my lord suppose they have killed all the young men, the king's sons. For only Amnon is dead, but Absalom fled. Now, when the woman saw that she was defeated, she called out to the king, saying, O my lord, let the iniquity be on me and on my father's house, and let the king and his throne be guiltless. The king said to Joab, Behold, now he shall return to his home, but let him not see my face. So Joab fell to the ground on his face, bowed down, and thanked the king, and said, Today your servant knows that I have found favor in your sight, my lord, O king, in that the king has fulfilled the request of his servant. So Joab arose and went to Geshur and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. But the king said, Let him return to his own house, but let him not see my face. So Absalom returned to his own house, but did not see the king's face. Now in all Israel there was no one who was praised as much as Absalom for his good looks. From the sole of his foot to the crown of his head there was no blemish in him, when he cut the hair of his head at the end of every year. Because it was heavy on him when he cut it off, he weighed the hair of his head at 200 shekels according to the king's standard. And to Absalom were born 3 sons and 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar. She was a woman of beautiful appearance. Now Absalom lived 2 full years in Jerusalem, but did not see the king's face. Then Absalom sent for Joab to send him to the king, but he would not come to him. And when he sent again a second time, he still would not come. Therefore he said to his servants, See, Joab's field is near mine, and he has barley there. Go and set it on fire. And Absalom's servants set the field on fire. Then Joab arose and came to Absalom at his house and said to him, Why have your servants set my field on fire? And Absalom said to Joab, Look, I sent to you, saying, Come here, that I may send you to the king to say, Why have I come from Geshur? It would be better for me to be there now. Therefore let me see the king's face. And if there is any iniquity in me, let him execute me. So Joab went to the king and told him one in that. And when he had called for Absalom, he came to the king and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king, and the king kissed Absalom. This concludes 2 Samuel chapter 14. 2 Samuel chapter 15. After this it came to pass that Absalom provided himself with chariots and horses, and 50 men to run before him. Now Absalom would rise early and stand beside the way to the gate. And when anyone who had a lawsuit came to the king for judgment, Absalom would call to him and say, What city are you from? And he would say, Your servant is from one of the tribes of Israel. Then Absalom would say to him, Look, your case is good and right, but there is no deputy of the king to hear you. Moreover, Absalom would say, Oh, that I were made judge in the land. Then every man who has any suit or cause would come to me, and I would give him justice. And so it was that when anyone came near to bow down to him, Absalom would put out his hand and take hold of him and kiss him. In this manner Absalom acted toward all Israel who came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the people of Israel. And it came to pass after 40 years that Absalom said to the king, Please let me go to Hebron and pay the vow which I have vowed to the Lord. For your servant vowed a vow while I dwelt at Geshur in Syria, saying, If the Lord indeed brings me back to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord. And the king said to him, Go in peace. So he arose and went to Hebron. Then Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as you hear the sound of the trumpet, then you shall say, Absalom reigns in Hebron. And with Absalom 200 men went, who were invited and went in their simplicity, and they did not know anything. And Absalom sent for Ahithophel, the Gilonite, David's counselor from his city Gilo, while he offered sacrifices. And the conspiracy grew strong, for the people with Absalom continually increased in number. Then a messenger came to David, saying, The hearts of the men of Israel are with Absalom. So David said to all his servants who were with him at Jerusalem, Arise and let us flee, for otherwise none of us shall escape from Absalom. Arise and let us go, lest he overtake us suddenly and bring disaster upon us and strike the city with the edge of the sword. And the king's servants said to the king, Behold, your servants are ready to do whatever my lord the king commands. Then the king went out with all his household after him. But the king left 10 women, his concubines, to keep the house. And the king went out with all the people after him and stopped at the farthest house. All his servants passed before him, and all the Cherethites, and all the Pelethites, and all the Gittites. 600 men who had followed him from Gath passed before the king. Then the king said to Ittai the Gittite, "Why are you also going with us? Return and remain with the king, for you are a foreigner and also an exile from your own place. In fact, you came only yesterday. Should I make you wander up and down with us, since I go where I may go? Return and take your brethren back. Blessed be the Lord for his kindness and his truth toward you." But Ittai answered the king and said, "As the Lord lives, and as my lord the king lives, surely wherever my lord the king may be, whether in death or life, even there also your servant will be." And David said to Ittai, "Go then, cross over." So Ittai the Gittite and all his men and all the little ones who were with him crossed over. And all the country wept with a loud voice, and all the people crossed over. The king himself also crossed over the brook Kidron, and all the people crossed over toward the way of the wilderness. Then Zadok also, and all the Levites were with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of God. And they set down the ark of God. And Abiathar went up until all the people had finished crossing over from the city. Then the king said to Zadok, "Carry the ark of God back into the city. If I find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me back and show me both it and his dwelling place. But if he says thus, 'I have no delight in you, here am I,' let him do to me as seems good to him." The king also said to Zadok the priest, "Are you not a seer? Return to the city in peace, and your 2 sons with you, Ahimaaz your son and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. See, I will wait in the plains of the wilderness until word comes from you to inform me." Therefore Zadok and Abiathar carried the ark of God back to Jerusalem, and they remained there. And David went up by the ascent of the Mount of Olives, and he went up weeping with his head covered and barefooted. And all the people who were with him covered their heads and went up weeping as they went up. Now someone told David, saying, "Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. Well, pray." And David said, "O Lord, I pray, please turn Ahithophel's counsel into foolishness." And it happened when David had come to the top where he worshipped God, behold, Hushai the Archite came to meet him with his robe torn and dust on his head. David said to him, "If you go on with me, you will become a burden to me. But if you return to the city and say to Absalom, 'I will be your servant, O king, as I have been your father's servant previously, now I will also be your servant,' then you may defeat the counsel of Ahithophel for me. And do you not have Zadok and Abiathar the priests there with you? Whatever you hear from the king's house, you shall tell to Zadok and Abiathar the priests. Indeed, their 2 sons are there with them, Ahimaaz Zadok's son, and Jonathan Abiathar's son, and by them you shall send me everything you hear." So Hushai, David's friend, went into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem. This concludes 2 Samuel chapter 15. We will now move on to 2 Samuel chapter 16. And when David had gone a little past the top, Absalom and all the people, the men of Israel, came up behind him. Now it happened when King David came to Bahurim, that a man from the family of the house of Saul, whose name was Shimei the son of Gera, came out and cursed as he came. He threw stones at David and at all the servants of King David, although all the people and all the mighty men were on his right hand and on his left. And thus Shimei said in his cursing, come out, you bloodthirsty man, you rogue. The Lord has brought upon you all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose place you have reigned. And the Lord has delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom your son. So now you are caught in your own evil, because you are a bloody man." Then Abishai the son of Zeruiah said to the king, "Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over, please, and take off his head." But the king said, "What have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah? Let him alone, and let him curse. For the Lord has said to him, 'Curse David.' Who then shall say, 'Why have you done so?'" And David said to Abishai and to all his servants, "See how my son, who came from my own body, seeks my life. How much more now may this Benjamite do it? Let him alone, and let him curse, for the Lord has ordered him. It may be that the Lord will look on my affliction and repay me with good for his cursing today." So David and his men went along the road, And Shimei went along on the hillside opposite him, and cursed as he went, and threw stones at him, and kicked up dust. And the king and all the people who were with him became weary and refreshed themselves there. Now Absalom and all the people, the men of Israel, came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel was with him. And it happened when Hushai the Archite, David's friend, came to Absalom, that Hushai said to Absalom, "Long live the king, long live the king." So Absalom said to Hushai, "Is this your loyalty to your friend? Why did you not go with your friend?" And Hushai said to Absalom, "No, but whom the Lord and this people and all the men of Israel choose, him will I be, and with him will I abide. Furthermore, whom should I serve? Should I not serve in the presence of his son? As I have served in your father's presence, so will I be in your presence, O king." Then Absalom said to Ahithophel, "Give counsel among yourselves what we should do." And Ahithophel said to Absalom, "Go in to your father's concubines, whom he has left to keep the house, and all Israel will hear that you are abhorred by your father. Then the hands of all who are with you will be strong." So they pitched a tent for Absalom on the top of the house, and Absalom went in to his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. Now the counsel of Ahithophel, which he gave in those days, was as if one had inquired at the oracle of God. So was all the counsel of Ahithophel, both to David and to Absalom. This concludes 2 Samuel chapter 16. Today's reading was a sobering reminder of how sin's ripple effect can spread far beyond what we expect. David's family suffered deeply, yet even in the midst of pain and rebellion, God's plan continued to unfold. It's a powerful lesson on the importance of wisdom, accountability, and seeking God's guidance in all things. If this journey through Scripture has been meaningful to you, consider sharing it with a friend or family member. Engaging with God's Word together brings fresh insights and encouragement. And if you haven't already, hit the like button. It helps more people discover these Bible readings. Tomorrow, in day 89, we'll see how David navigates the ongoing crisis with Absalom and the struggles of leadership in uncertain times. Through it all, God remains in control. Be sure to join us. Before we close, take a moment to reflect. How do I respond when faced with difficult consequences? Do I turn to God for wisdom or try to fix things on my own? Let's take these thoughts to heart as we move forward.